First alert, an increase in salmonella cases in Wisconsin. It's linked to backyard poultry. Aisha is at the First Alert Safety Desk, and you have a warning from health officials this morning.
I do, Emerson. 17 cases of salmonella in Wisconsin so far this year. Winnebago County public health officials, they just want to remind you this morning, salmonella is a bacteria. It can get you sick, typically spread by eating or drinking food or water with the bacteria in it, or by touching feces from infected animals such as backyard poultry or chickens, very popular these days. And a few reminders: always wash your hands after touching backyard poultry, their eggs, or anything in the areas they live. Don't kiss or snuggle backyard poultry. Talk to the kids about that, and don't eat or drink around them. Keep poultry, even when they're babies, outside your house. The health department says the bacteria can cause you to have different symptoms like diarrhea, vomiting, fever, abdominal cramps. Most people recover from these illnesses without treatment. However, in some cases, in some people, the diarrhea may be so severe you need to be hospitalized. So just a side note, check your local ordinance before selecting or buying baby chicks, adult poultry, or waterfowl. A lot of jurisdictions, especially in our area, they have rules regarding the number of birds you can own. Per usual, we'll get some of these resources, and I think we already do. If you want to take a look at those resources, in case you're interested, Safety Desk tab at WBAY.com.